Right, do you want me just to start, Graham?
No, no.
Right.
So welcome everybody to the Be Empowered Show. I'm your host, Graham Hopkins. The Be Empowered Show is really a conversation about how to feel empowered, to feel connected to your own truth versus feeling separate from that truth. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Shelly Bright, and Shelley has a unique way of helping people connect with their own truth. And I'm sure as we go on with this conversation, you'll see how unique this is. So welcome today to today's show, Shelley.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you for the invite.
So, Shelley, let's start off with a little bit of your history and what has brought you up to this point in time where you've obviously put a lot of work and effort into creating basically two things: the Heart Wisdom Cards, and you've written a small book, I believe, called The Little Book of Heart Wisdom. So obviously you've had a journey in order to bring you to that point. Can you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, and if I just mention at this stage, the little book of Heart is still a little bit unstructured, and I don't expect it to be finished till spring next year. But it links very much into the insights of the Heart Wisdom cards, which have been developed really to keep people on track and on purpose within their own heart's wisdom. So I use the cards to give people readings because they tune into the energy that is surrounding that person, and also they tune in to what their heart is wanting to convey to them. What I find is quite often our head has the upper hand in our lives, and our heart sometimes wants to be heard, but it's really hard to get through of the chatter of the mind, the conditioning of the mind. I'm not making the mind wrong, but I'm saying if we can get the heart and the head in harmony, pathways open up that we couldn't see before. So that's the basic about the Heart Wisdom cards. How I got to develop them, well, that's a really interesting story. At 15 and a half, I met the man who was to become my husband, and we were to have a relationship for more than 30 years. But that was a very, very codependent relationship where the relationship ran us rather than us running the relationship. So I lived a life of highs and lows, trying to be a mother to 4 children, a businesswoman. In fact, I was everything to everybody and nothing to me. And what I found is by we got into our 26th year of marriage, I was dying in the relationship. It was becoming so painful. And what came out was a really bad foot problem, and I literally couldn't take the pain of the marriage and the pain of the foot. One of them had to go, and I wasn't going to cut my foot off. That was about 7 years ago, and that's when I started the journey of, I'd put everything into that marriage, in that relationship, and I wanted to know why did it not work? And I found out all those answers, Graham, all of them. And for the last 7 years, I have been on a journey of self-awareness, self-development. And with that came along a massive insight around attention. And I'm not talking about attention as the word, I'm talking about attention as an energy exchange between people. And I've sort of built such a cool relationship with that energy that I understand it is the need for attention that creates a lot of codependence in relationships and in our lives. So within the cards, I have peppered what I see is the law of attention, which states that which we place our attention on will magnify back into our lives to the degree we are placing our attention on it. But most of the time we are walking around in our lives totally asleep. We're in total reaction to circumstances, and it takes quite often pain to get us to the stage to find there must be more to life than just living from one reaction to another. And that's what I'm here to help people really empower themselves in their lives and to come from a place of responsibility, because we do on at every level manifest everything within our lives. And I can imagine people go, no, I did not manifest this, I did not manifest that. But when you understand the law of attention, you can understand how on different levels we are manifesting our lives.
Shelley, can I ask you a question? Heart wisdom is defined probably in different ways by different people. So can you define heart wisdom from where you're coming from?
Yes. Well, I see very clearly we have a soul and we have a body. We have a mind. We have a subconscious. And if you can imagine those, so you've got your soul, you've got your body, you've got your mind, you've got your subconscious. In the middle is the intersection, your heart, your feelings, which once you tune into and understand more about the relationship between the mind and the subconscious and the body and the soul, you see that the heart is basically a guidance system. So that's how I see heart wisdom, is a guidance system. It's the intersection of the wisdom of the body, the wisdom of the mind, the manifestation of the subconscious, and the wisdom of the soul.
Okay, so you're saying that our mind and our subconscious mind are two different things?
Yes, definitely. The mind is the gatekeeper of the subconscious. The subconscious is the direct link into the universal energy and from where everything is available. But our subconscious is, if you could, it's like a blind, non-seeing man. We program it and we dress it with all of our beliefs. And those beliefs are not quite often not even our own beliefs. They're the beliefs that were programmed into us as children. So it is manifesting from those beliefs. And also what I found, and this is really cool, is there is a need for attention. And those subconscious needs are programmed within our subconscious, and they develop from the ages of basically from conception into being about 5-year-old, the main ones, Graham. We're always reinventing ways of getting attention, for sure, but the main subconscious ones, the ones that can possibly do the most harm to our lives and cause the most problems to our lives, are the ones that are programmed as children. So I've been given a gift to be able to connect with the cards to those young parts. Young parts that are manifesting attention that quite often create situations that don't feel good and quite hard to digest. And that's part of the circle work we do. We connect into these young parts, and once they're seen, felt, heard and valued, and they become integrated, and then we can basically change quite some dramatic situations in our lives. I can give an example if that's helpful.
Before you go there, Shelley, people aren't going to know what circle work is for a start, but before we even get there, I'd like to ask you how many cards there are and how does this all fit together? In other words, what's on these cards that is changing people's lives.
Right. This is cool. This is cool. The 40 cards. There are going to be another 8. I've been led to know that I've got another 8 to bring into the cards, and then it'll be a full set. And the cards are words, Graham. So we have like 28 is attachment, 32 is accountability. And I think it's really quite funny that the universe decided to give somebody who was dyslexic words to feel into and to write about. So it has been a labour. It hasn't been, you know, when people say, oh, I have downloaded these cards, I have, what's the word for it when people bring stuff in from the universe? I'm showing me dyslexic head now.
Intuition.
Channel, no. People say I've channeled this. I tell you what, I made this, but it was hard work. Hard work. And I had the good help of my daughter, who has a first-class degree in English, to sort of help me with the grammar and the spelling and things. But they're based on the energy of 40 individual words. And I have brought in what I believe is the universe's input with those words. But we can always try a little reading, Graham, if you want. That might be the best way to sort of show the cards.
Can you just show an example of one of the cards?
Yep. And we have one. Can you see that?
Yep.
That's the confidentiality card. And that's number 24. And the card, it says, trust is earned. Confidentiality is the key. And then on the back of the card, we have the insight of the Heart Wisdom cards.
Okay, so can you explain how you came to the diagrams on the front of the cards?
Right, okay. They are all a very good friend of mine, Steph Chappell. She is a photographer. And I took down some orchid plants because I have a background in gardening, and she used her magic. Each one of these cards developed from an individual photograph of an orchid, and Steph did that work completely. Yeah.
And how did you match up the words with the pictures? Was that a difficult thing, or is that something that just flowed together?
Yeah, the words just came through, Graham. They started coming through when I was on holiday in Tenerife, of all places, and I was just sat. I'm not a great one for sunbathing. I always like to be reading or doing something, and it just started because I'd taken time out, which is pretty much the number one card, focus. Things started to happen. And then it's been a 2-year journey since that started. Yeah.
So are you saying that you would pull one of the cards out yourself and that would start manifesting some significance?
Yes, if I was to sort of pull a card out now, it would definitely have a significance to what's going on in my life at the moment. We can do the traditional present, past and future. Each reading is based on intuition, and as a reader, it's about your heart wisdom and holding space for that other person. Being there for that other person to go into the cards, into the insights, to pick up what it is meaning in their lives. I literally am giving the other person the attention, and quite often that's all they need. And they then come to me, and all I do is use my intuition and whatever is flowing through.
Okay, so how would this differ from, say, tarot cards?
Totally different. What I found with the tarot card reading, quite often the reader is programming the subconscious of the person they're giving the reading to, and the event manifests from that reading, which has got to be perfectly right because they're there together they're together. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with tarot card readings, but with a heart wisdom card reading, I just become the vessel that you are giving yourself the reading. The aha moments come from you, not from anything I say. They come from you. And I can only encourage people to have a reading to see exactly how they work. But there is no, how can I say it? It's more in the present, Graham, than in the mystic. Tarot is in the mystic. Heart wisdom is in the present.
So how would this work out? If you were going to do a reading on me, for instance, how would I go about it, and how would you go about it?
Right, quite often I use the technique of saying, pick a number between 1 and 6.
So you want me to pick a number? Say 5 is my favourite number.
Okay, that would mean that there was 5 cards for you to pick out of 1 to 40. Now, if you had a pack of cards, you could just shuffle them, look at the images, pick them any way you want. You can very shortly go to the Facebook app where the cards are fully available, totally free, and there's instructions on how to use them on there. But in this case, then I would say to you, Graham, pick 5 cards between 1 and 40. And quite often I ask the client to write down the numbers 1 to 40 and give me the 5 cards exactly as in the order that they come to them. So that's the important thing. The cards have to come in the order that they come into your head. So your first number might be 27, then it might be 34. I need that order.
Okay.
Right.
So you want me to give you 5 numbers?
Yeah, please.
Okay. 5.
Right.
13.
Right.
8.
Yeah.
21.
Right, I'll have to put my glasses on at this point. You've got one more, Graham.
34.
Right. Okay. I'm just. I'll just chat while I sort the individual cards out, Graham. If I'd been a little bit more organised, I would have had it done.
This is all part of the process, isn't it? I mean, if I was to come to you, you'd have to do that anyhow. So.
Yeah, and it is quite often another thing I like to do, which will probably space out some of you people. Oh, number 5 is control, Graham.
Okay.
So there is a situation within your life that is either you are controlling it or it's controlling you. That's for sure. I think I'll just bring them up.
So is that, are you taking that out of the 5, or is that the first one that I mentioned?
No, that's the first one that you mentioned, Graham. They always come in order. Always. There is.
So what's the significance of that number 5 then?
Right. Okay. I'll read the inside of the card, Graham, for you. Can you see me okay?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's easier to see control when it is used to demand the attention of another. It is less easy to see control when it comes from a place of giving advice. What do we get when we give advice? That's simple. The other person's attention. Understand this and you will be a good way to mastering your life and every relationship in it. When you pull the control card, your heart is asking you to stop and feel. And it's really important that when you're doing the cards, that you take time out to contemplate, to feel into them. You know, they'll have no use whatsoever if you just read through them, and it is all about feeling into them. Stop and feel. Notice if you're giving advice to receive the attention of another. Do you really have their heart's answers? Ask them if they're open to your advice and feel deeply into their answer. The key is to respect their answer if it's no. This means noticing whether their energy is saying no, even though their words are saying yes. To master the art of giving and receiving attention is a key part to developing good relationships, especially within our families. Feel deeply and relax. Ask yourself, given how I feel, what does my heart yearn for in my relationships at this moment? And I know because we're doing this as a Google Hangout and an interview, that it'll be a little bit difficult to move from being the interviewer into a heart wisdom card reading. But for me, this insight is probably one of the major insights, Graham. It's about learning how to listen, learning how to be there for people. Quite often, because of our need for attention, which I go into in the little book of Heart Wisdom, we are always wanting to command the attention in conversation. So, which means quite often giving people advice. And the power is in listening. And then just saying, have I got some feedback? You know, I've got some feedback. Do you want to hear it? But quite often, most people just want to be heard.
I think it's a really powerful thing to ask people if they want your advice. That's the main thing that I got out of that.
And the next card you chose, I love this card, Graham. It's perturbation, which most people, first of all, the word, straight away people say, what's that word mean? Perturbation comes before an opening of awareness. Are you open to consider that you may be in, or you are about to be in a new, open to an, I'll repeat that, that's my, I think this card's partially for me today. Perturbation comes before an opening of awareness. Are you open to consider that you may be in, or are you about to open to a level of awareness? Be aware the expansion of your consciousness is nearby. When pulling the perturbation card, your heart is asking you to stop and feel. Are you in a moment of perturbation? Do you feel like your head is going to burst with the pressure of the moment? Do you feel fear, depression, confusion? Are you in distress? Your heart is asking you to be brave. You're on track. Listen to your heart. Feel the fear. Let it go and move through your emotions. Let them wash through you. Simply watch your thoughts. Feel your feelings and then surrender. Feel deeply and relax and ask yourself, given how I feel, what does my heart yearn for in this moment of expansion to feel safe? While I read that card, Graham, I feel that somebody who will be watching this video at some point, that card will be exactly for them.
It's a very powerful message, yeah.
Yeah.
Really, I should imagine that most of the cards are for all of us at some point in our life.
Definitely. Definitely. They tune into the energy of life and the journey of life, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. And you have also pulled another very strong insight. Number 8, which is the next card, is no. One of the biggest gifts we have available to give is to listen to a child when they say no. Feel into and value their no. Work with that child on their no, and you will empower both self and the child. From 2 years old, giving the child the power to say no and then teaching them to say thank you is giving them the power to be seen, felt, heard, and valued. This is a gift that will serve them for the rest of their lives. When you pull the no card, your heart is asking you to stop and feel. What difference would it make in your life to have your no valued? Feel into an area or person in your life where you find it difficult to say no thanks. Alternatively, are you listening and valuing the no of another? Feel deeply and relax and ask yourself, given how I feel, what does my heart yearn for to say no to in this moment?
I think that's probably a very powerful thing for all of us to learn, because what's the word? We're all after acceptance, aren't we?
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to say no is really important. That we do it in the right attitude of heart, in the right coming from the right place, if you like.
I agree. I agree totally. It's that's why no thank you and listening to a child so feel valued. And we've done this with my grandson Luca. We've used the wisdom as guidance to help him. He's into his 4th year, and he's just the most amazing little guy. He took a little longer to develop into his sense of self. And there is an insight in a little book of Heart Wisdom about how children develop into their sense of self and the sense of the world. Um, and he does have the tantrums when he can't have what he wants. He's a normal child. But he doesn't have he has very few triggers apart from when he can't have what he wants. Where quite often I see children triggering just by words that they hear, and they're taken on to I watch my oldest grandson sometimes trigger when he doesn't feel valued and heard and seen. And Luca is totally oblivious because we've used the insights as a guidance. We're not perfect at them, but we've used them as a guidance for him. You know?
So you've got me intrigued. What's the next one?
Oh, it's massive. This is the main to me. If you can master this in your life, then you master your life. And it's 21 is judge. Our judge is a powerful part of us to master. However, once mastered, we awake to our freedom, finding a level of peace within the turbulence of our lives. The added benefit of mastering our judge is, by doing so, our victim, poor me energy is mastered. When you pull the judge card, your heart is asking to stop and feel. Feel deeply. How is judge energy showing up in your life? Are you judging yourself and keeping yourself in a place of blame or victim? Notice if you're judging another or feeling judged by another. Of course, there is no way we can stop judging, but we have the choice to ask, when I judge, do I want myself or another to feel empowered or disempowered? We always have that choice. Feel deeply and relax, and ask yourself, given how I feel, what does my heart yearn for around judgment in this moment?
This is a very powerful topic. In fact, the Be Empowered group has its foundation on the fact that you become empowered when you stop judging and connect with your own truth. So this is a major importance to me, this one card, number 21. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you for choosing it. I'm just coming to number 34. Oh, wow. This is amazing, Graham. This card I have totally dedicated to Christian, where we actually met in one of Christian's circles. Accelerated, that's where we met, really.
Can you explain who Christian is?
Yeah, Christian Pankhurst is the heart IQ guy. He has developed a model of heart intelligence, and it was where I found a lot of my power, Graham, and where I integrated a lot of these young parts that were manifesting and running my life and keeping me in a place of reaction. It's a huge organisation now, and yes, the Heart Wisdom cards, I want to give thanks. This card is here to give thanks to Christian and also to bring to the awareness the organisation, which I know is massive out there now, and it is there to help people find a place of empowerment in their lives. So maybe I should read the insight of the card out, which is, the practice of heart intelligence allows us to disarm our neurological defense system, which my friend and mentor Christian Pankhurst calls our steward. Our steward is made up of young vulnerable parts which are holding on to undigested feelings of negative energy frequencies that were too heavy for us to digest as small developing children. When you pull the defense card, your heart is asking you to stop and feel. Are you open to consider that you may be in or about to be in a trigger moment in your life? If you practice heart intelligence, then you will know what to do when a part triggers, providing you want to heal that part and integrate it, taking back your power. If this is new to you, then please join the Heart IQ community and the websites on the card, Graham, and basically feel deeply and relax and ask yourself, given how I feel, what does my heart yearn for in this moment of defense? This is my acknowledgement of Christian and his work, his wonderful work. For all, I am working with a not-for-profits community, heart to heart. I'm in the, shall I say, the late autumn to winter stages of my life. It is my time to give, not to make lots of money, Graham. I'm not interested in that. I am going into a place of helping people find their power, of helping a charity which is just starting to form with the Heart to Heart organisation that I'm part of. It's a development, but we're fully in connection with Christian in his work, which is a completely different model, and his is pretty much about training facilitators to run these empowerment circles. And that card came up into this interview, so it wanted to be heard, Graham.
Yeah, and I would like to acknowledge Christian Pankhurst's work too. That taking back your own power is so important to me because we give it away so easily when we judge ourselves, when we judge others. So the taking back of power is a really, really important part of my own life. So thank you so much, Shelley. Can you, before we wind up, can you just explain, you've used the word circle a couple of times, and I know that you've started retreats in the UK, and the circle work is a part of what you're doing with these cards, I believe. So maybe you could just highlight what a circle is all about.
Well, a circle is based on the Tej Steiner heart circle model. Tej created a manual of how people come together in a circle and put agreements around that circle. So the circle actually becomes, how can I describe it? When we get into a circle and we create safety, Graham, we are creating an amplified field where it's very safe for these young parts and things that are bothering us to come out to be aired. Now, this is not about fixing. We don't fix anything in circle, but we ask to take space around a situation, and the magic of the circle is we find empowerment around that situation, whatever it looks like. And it can be a little bit weird at times, it can be lovely, it can be absolutely fantastic. But I can guarantee I have never ever heard a person come away from a circle and not have got some value out of that circle. So does that help?
Has the power of a circle got anything to do with that word you used at the beginning, attention?
Yes, it's a place of learning to give and receive attention, a place of learning to say no, a place where you find safety and confidentiality, a place where you find a different way to communicate with people. But it's an experience. And I tell you what, I would rather go to a circle on a retreat weekend than have 100 nights out on the town, which used to be my way of life. You know, these places are just a fantastic place to join like-minded people, to make new friendships, to develop a new way of being in your life.
Shelley, I think safety is one of the main keys, isn't it, to these retreats?
Definitely.
People feel safe within the retreat.
Yeah. And that it is using the Tej Steiner heart circle model creates the safety, Graham. And then I mean, we've just done a 2.5 day retreat, and it was amazing the amount of safety we created. And we're bringing in a different model to Christians. We're using the Tej Steiner's heart circle model, but it was absolutely amazing. And you know, we've got people wanting to come to our next retreat in November, all signed up, ready to be there. So I really think going forward, you know, there's going to be a demand for to enter into this wonderful way of transforming your life.
So, Shelley, where can people get in touch with you if they're interested in doing one of these retreats?
They can email me at Shelley at heartcards.co.uk. They can visit the Heart Wisdom website, which is www.heartwisdomcards.com. They can find me on Facebook. Find the Heart Wisdom cards on Facebook. There is going to be a free app that I'll connect people with. I've done these, they're there, Graham, they're free. They're absolutely free. You can use the cards to help guide you through what's going on in your life. But it does come from responsibility. They're not fluffy, and I'm not going to stroke anybody's ego with the cards. You know, because I truly believe the ego should be balanced. It should neither be deflated or inflated. It's a very important part of us, but the cards help us keep in balance.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate your time, Shelley. This has been really intriguing as to how this has evolved over time. And I'd just like to thank everybody for watching the Be Empowered show. I'm your host, Graham Hopkins. I'd like to just ask a favour of our guests watching or listening to this show. If you could just go onto iTunes and leave a review, it will just increase the ratings of this show and enable it to be dispersed to a wider audience. If you'd like to hear more about the concepts that Shelley and I have shared, like being more connected and having peace of heart, or maybe even about heart wisdom, you can always go to Shelley's websites, or you can go to Amazon and purchase my book called The Manifesto of Your Inspirational Mind, or you can download a free ebook on my website, www.beempoweredgroup.com, called Know Your True Value and Worth. And I think, Shelley, we've kind of nailed that one a little bit today, haven't we, about knowing your value and worth at the level of your heart.
Yes.
So, once again, on behalf of both Shelley and I, we'd like to wish all our listeners a wonderful future of freedom, peace, abundance, and heart wisdom. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Graham.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.